Yeah, I'm always up for good arguments,
Ah,
constructive.
yeah. So I think this will be constructive. So let me see how the best way to start this. Monique was watching, my wife. She was watching a TV show. I think it's called Wags to Riches. It's on Netflix. I don't know if you know about it.
Yeah.
It's basically,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's like black women, owning their shit, doing their own thing. Anyways, there was this episode where one of the girls who's on the show, she's not like full black or anything. She's apparently she was Kanye West's marketing manager. So she was big and known in the black community. I'm not sure her background is, but she looks like Latino or I'll say Caucasian.
Yeah.
Anywho, this episode they were all bashing this lady, going against her, saying that all she does is profit from black culture. She's
Yeah.
they use the term cultural appropriation.
Okay.
And Monique was not asking me about cultural appropriation. Honestly, I don't know much about it. I think
Yeah.
that's the term that we as Africans we don't really use. It's not something that we've paid much attention to, but
Yeah.
it's a big deal in the black community and they care about
Mm-hmm.
it a lot. And some of these examples that they were giving is, like white women doing braids.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Another example is, maybe like a white person doing rap music. Like I know,
Okay.
like Eminem, early in his career, people were saying he was cultural appropriating. Will if more their daddy.
Hello, guys.
Hello
Hi.
guys. See your podcast voice.
Well, well, I thought I'd bring my real accent with me.
How's everything now? Have you been? Are you just catching on, or have you been following what we're talking about?
I just tuned in a few minutes ago, so I caught like the little tail end of you explaining how Africans don't really think about cultural appropriation so much, but Black people do. And I actually think there's a reason for that.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like there is this like Africans in general, our disposition to culture is to share it just naturally. And this comes from as far as, we've been Africans. Like Africa is the first civilizing continent. So as a matter of necessity, it had to be in our DNA that when the first Bushmen came out, other places they were going to explore to civilize. They cannot go there and be trying to colonize you or to appropriate your culture. So the only function they had is going and teaching these people, oh, and this is how we do this, how we do this. And I think it's just sort of followed us all through. So if anything, when we see people today sort of quote unquote copy our culture, we even if anything else, we find it exciting. You, like in here now, if we saw like a European white dude wearing traditional, dashiki or whatever, we just think, oh wow, it's cool. Like, and funny enough, it's also sort of like this with even Indians as well. When they see like white people wearing their saris or whatever, they get very excited. And I think it's a problem for Black Americans because they have lived in a culture that for a very long time was, I don't know if I can swear on life, but was shitting on their culture for years. So now it's not like, oh, it's cool now, huh? It's cool. You want to do the thing you've
There's
been
history there.
literally flogging us for not doing. Yeah, but for us, yeah, because nobody was really flogging us for, like we were just doing our thing. So I feel like we don't have that need to be defensive or to feel like, oh, you're taking our stuff. And we also feel like we occupy a cultural space where you can never exhaust it. You can never, like, for Black Americans now, you can steal enough of it that it doesn't become their culture anymore because they're not the dominant group in their country. So there's how much twerking will start going on with, like, white people and whatnot. After a while, we'll be like, huh, like people forgot UB41. What do not the Oscar, the one for music, a Grammy for reggae. But no matter how much you steal Afro beats, yeah, there's more guys in Agungi here doing it than the whole of LA. So we are not worried. It's not a you. So like I so just to wrap up two things. A, we don't have that history of people trashing. I mean, we sort of have it with colonialism, but it's nowhere near extreme as Black Americans have it. And then secondly, there is no fear of complete cannibalization. There's no amount of Afro beats you are going to steal that would make it Euro beats. Like it's just not gonna happen. But yeah, these are my
Oh,
intros.
I like, and that's why I always like
Um,
having you in
I
conversations
was
like
going to
this.
say
Yeah,
I was going to say that he has touched on every topic. Like
you've
you've
covered
in
it.
fact we can end the show. You've covered it all. We can end this live show, really,
Ah,
because
mm.
honestly, the way you explained it is exactly how I was thinking about it in my head. You know, I know where Adams actually gave the example. Okay, because you didn't start from the beginning. He was saying that his wife was watching a show, this wags to riches, and most women actually watch these shows because most women who are married or in like serious relationships watch these shows so that they know what's socially correct. Is very entertaining. There's a lot of drama, but at the same time, someone like me, I watch these kind of shows to know, how to act in friendship circles. I learned a few things from them. So that was the first time actually me myself I was hearing the term culture vulture, and I didn't even think much about this. I'm like, why are they calling her culture vulture? You see, for people like us who don't experience these things on a daily, it's a strange term. Like, what's culture vulture? It's cool that a white girl is braiding her hair. That's the same way your wife felt, Adams. Monique was also like, what's the fuss about? What did she do? And she came to you asking, hoping you would throw more light on it. Unfortunately, you're the wrong person to ask because you're not African American. You're just Africans. This is not our experience. We don't go about saying, how dare you braid your hair without knowing, the history behind braiding your hair. You're just doing it for clout. You're just doing it to be cool, to be fun, to for people to talk about you. There's such shallowness associated with why you're braiding your hair. You want us to talk about it. Meanwhile, you don't appreciate the culture. You don't know anything about cornrows and how back in the day we used it as maps to escape plantations. You don't know how we used it to tame our hair because we get flogged if we didn't look presentable on Sundays, you know? So it goes really deep. And I understand where they're coming from, the African Americans. And I appreciate it. I felt like this particular character, her name is Jules. She was the PR manager for Kanye. I felt she could have handled it better if she just said, okay, I don't know how I'm coming across to you. Can you tell me what I can do to show you that I appreciate the culture? But instead she came out guns blazing. What do you do for your community? What do you do? I do this, I do that. She was talking about how much she's contributed, how she helps people get jobs, how she contributes to the African American community, and then people that are bashing her, what do? They do nothing. They're just African Americans, and that's where they leave it out. So nobody should come for her, And then in the next breath, she came for a volleyball, like how they go about having activities just to make it
yeah.
interesting. So someone was doing like a volleyball um game and invited all her friends. And this same Jules came with, what's his name? One boxer who is a known racist, who flippantly uses the N word, who has, talked down on black people very disrespectfully, and she brings him to their function. And everybody's like, Jules doesn't get it. She's never going to get it. She really is a culture vulture. So it was just it's crazy. And like Adam, what's the name of the guy that just logged out, your friend?
William.
As William was saying, we even love it when people want to try on our things. Do you know how happy I was to buy your wife boo-boos? I'm like, she should wear them. Ah, it's so nice. But then I realized that even she wearing those boo-boos, it can be, how do I put it? Doesn't sit well. It's just like saying it, I don't know. So I just said I made a mental note that instead of
Hmm.
making boo-boos for her, I will make spaghetti strap, something that feels more English, more comfortable for her, so that she can wear it, and then at least you're seeing the print, but it's still her style, you know. So something like that. High praise. What's up?
I mean, I'm just in lectures. You just speak. I don't call. I'm not sure if Adam has made the proper introduction, but welcome to
Uh-huh.
Daper. It's been a minute. Because of you, we said we're gonna
Yeah,
have
it
the
has.
host on Friday. We skipped yesterday because we had to skip yesterday, but today we said, nah,
Ah.
we're gonna have to bring the what's the word now? The
They
legend,
whine me.
the
I like it.
legend. But honestly, man, for
It's
real
cool.
though, very, very, very interesting topic, and you've got a very beautiful take on this one. But I would like to sit on the fence. Um, I think Adam and I have had this conversation with Daniel a while back, maybe last week, and I said, look, culture vulture, I kind of understand why people have the term for these guys, and but with cultural appropriation, like Oyibo people are very smart, man. Westerners are very smart. They will steal your stuff, they will make it better, and you come and buy from them if you are not careful.
Mm-hmm.
They will get your story, they will tell it in a way that you'll be like, what? Is this my story? And then they will make you so interested, and then you go and buy from them. It's more like Lion's King, for example. It's more like Coming to America, for example. They acted that movie in a way that they use, these Hollywood stars, and these guys are coming to speak funny accents, and then even Africans were like, that's not a South African accent, that's not a Nigerian accent, that's not a Zimbabwean accent. So are you telling me that there were no known, renowned, smart Nigerians, Zimbabweans, South Africans that could act, in that capacity as African actors? But no, they did not. They did not even act most of those parts or any of those movies in Africa. All those movies were acted in America and stuff like that. But that was the Lions King. That was Mufasa right there. Same as Lions King, you know, what's it called? Beyonce did what she did, got these African artists, put them in a box, made that album. And guess what? That album probably just gonna be nominated for Best Afrobeat and stuff like that. Chris Brown just got nominated for Afrobeat in freaking Grammy category. Is he an Afrobeat artist? No, he's not. But no matter
Yeah.
how an African will rap, no matter how an African will sing Oyibo song, that African can never be categorized or can never be put in a space where you have your Chris Brown, you have your Future, your Drake, your Kendrick. Burna Boy, no matter how Burna Boy want to refine himself, they're still gonna see him like an Afrobeat star, an Afrobeat hip hop, whatever, because they want to protect their own thing. You know what I'm saying? They want to protect their own culture. So why is it cool for us to keep clapping for these guys every time they come and get our stuff and make it better? You do understand? It's more like
Uncle, I
1 second, 1 second. It's more like, people that are doing 9 to 5 in Lagos. They have a foreigner that's their colleague. Before you know it, the foreigner starts speaking Yoruba, and they're so excited. Oh my God, he's speaking Yoruba. They'll bring their camera. Say it again. Let me send to my mom. But that same Nigerian will be in Germany, speak Germany. Germans don't even care. That same Nigerian will be in China, speak Chinchong. Those Chinchong don't even send. They don't even acknowledge you that you are even trying. But we acknowledge this guy so much. We are clapping just because he said Egbele. You clapping just because why? A Nigerian person would give like a foreigner or you person like Danshiki or whatever traditional thing, and then we make a lot of sense out of it. Like I don't get their hype. I think it's just because of how we present this stuff that makes it like it's cool for them to wear our stuff, but it's not cool. So that it's not cool for us to, like I just read your comments now. I'm just gonna tone down, you know, But like what I'm saying is, if you want to get on someone else's culture, make sure you give the right credit. Give credit. Don't try to make it like
Yeah. Yeah.
we establish this stuff. It is from us that this thing, like you want to try and make it better.
Sorry,
So
William.
that's my own thing, you know.
Okay, yeah. So before William responds, I want to quickly say to you, Praise, that I like that you use the term cultural appreciation. Do you understand? Because that's basically all they want. Just appreciate the culture. Nobody's saying you shouldn't do your braids or you shouldn't, you know, and enjoy the culture with them, but just give a little appreciation. This thing you mentioned, Beyonce. Beyonce is known to appreciate. She always borrows, she likes to fuse her music with Afro beats, different things. She would always give credit. She has said before in an interview that a lot of her music comes from the have you ever heard the Arabic, the call to prayer? That mosque, that's Allahu
Mm.
Akbar. So if you notice, she has that na 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 na. She appreciates it. She gives credit to it in her interviews, in the way she even uses them. She's very respectful. To be honest, she actually is. She's one of the few people. You see Beyonce, you see Eminem. Not only do they appreciate the culture, someone like Eminem now, he has lived it. Nobody tries to come for Eminem because he has proved, that he's all about hip hop, and his
Yeah.
longevity is proof.
Yeah.
His longevity in the industry is proof that he actually, he puts his mouth where his money is, or puts his money where his mouth is, you know. So, having said that, I like that you gave the whole all we want is like appreciate the culture. Nobody's saying you shouldn't use it. Go ahead, use it, do your braids, but understand it. Don't do it for clout.
Yeah.
Don't do it on a very surface, level.
It's just
So
like
sorry,
Black Lives
William,
Matter.
back to you. I know you wanted to say.
Sorry, William. It's just like Black Lives Matter, right?
Please do
Everyone
it
wants to be.
for clout. Do it for clout. Do it for whatever. In fact, do it for as much clout as it can get you. Guys, people don't understand. At every moment in time, we are in a cultural, I don't want to, war is an ugly word, push and pull. When I was little, more than anything else, I wanted to be Chinese. I didn't understand nothing about being Chinese or whatever. But you know how many Jack Chan movies I'd watched? How many Bruce Lee's movies I'd watched? How much time I spent in the open space just be shot, be shot, be shot, be
But
shot.
you were a
Naturally,
child. That's the
yes,
difference. You were a
yeah, but
child.
yes,
Yeah.
but this thing,
Go on.
even now that I'm older, yeah,
Yeah.
the Chinese and Japanese aesthetics are still one of my favorite aesthetics. Japan is on my list of top place, like it's not even it's the top of the place that I want to be in. And I know it's because I've watched the movies, I've watched the anime, and I just have a fascination with it. Now, some might term this fascination a fetish. But to me, I'm just like just no, I just think it's cool, and I don't like. Even if you call it a fetish, I'm not going to feel bad about you calling it a fetish, because I will tell you, look, I actually just think this stuff is cool. What I'm not going
William,
to,
where do you
what the only
live?
thing I ask people for, I live in Lagos. The only thing I ask people
Okay.
for is don't shit on it.
Okay.
Even if you're wearing it for clout or whatever, that's cool. Just don't shit on it. That's the only thing I would ask you. We are forced to wear a suit and a tie like we're British every day to work under 32-degree
Mm.
plus, you know, and somehow that's okay for us to do because we're supposed to look official. And in fact, the only days you're allowed casual is on Fridays, where it's casual Fridays and you can actually wear your native attire, which, as far as I'm concerned, like the level of native we're wearing these days even looks slicker than these suits, you know but
Agreed.
it's just the way it is
Agreed.
now. And then
Agreed. There was a time,
for
yeah.
what
Go on.
yes, and sorry, and for what Praise mentioned about how they sort of take these things and make it better kind of stuff. I mean, this is the way I look at it. If I'm a studio and I'm going to shoot Coming to America, I'm going to put X millions behind the budget. I'm going to put X millions behind the camera. Best believe I'm getting Eddie Murphy to shoot it, because I don't care how highly acclaimed anyone was in Africa at the time. Even in America, Eddie Murphy was top five. So like these guys are businessmen. And I think something else that we also need to understand on this side of the continent is I don't like this idea of us like, oh, they will take it and do it better. There's this thing I tell people, like if an immigrant who barely speaks the language can come in and take your job, you are shit at your job. You are actually not good at it. So if a foreigner can come in and hijack your culture, what it means is that you have not developed the systems of objects that elevate your culture. What it means is that you have not done the work to have your own Oscars, because it shouldn't matter to us who wins the Oscar. It should matter to us who wins our version of it. You've never heard a Japanese person complain, oh, how come Japanese people don't win the Oscars? Oh, how come they don't win the Grammys? You think they don't make music there? You think they don't make movies there? But they have their own version of all these things. They're not struggling for the Man Booker Prize with Ian McEwan.
William,
Like,
William,
uh-huh.
are you gonna
Yeah,
blame
call
me
it
and
a
you?
government name.
Hmm?
I hear you, and I feel you, man. Everybody wants to be African until being African happens to them. 100%.
Well, I
You know,
mean, yeah,
you
yeah,
want to be
it's
Nigerian so bad
definitely
until
cool
being a
these
Nigerian
days.
happens to you. But then
That is
again,
where the clouds come.
yeah,
Go on, go on.
you want, yes, and winning the Oscars and winning the Grammys, right? You know how Nigerian and African people are. You know, we they worship anything what Igbo people they do. Like we even the Hades, you know. How do you celebrate Hades in America? How do you celebrate Hades in Atlanta?
Now
Hades is
you see,
Celebrate
supposed
what?
to
to
be
me,
Hades to be celebrated in
exactly,
Hades
to
award. Hades
me,
award.
that
They
is,
carry a whole
yes,
Hades
to me,
award.
that
Go
is
America.
worse.
Go
To
celebrate.
me,
Like,
that
what do you want these
behavior,
young artists to do?
that
You know what I mean?
that
That's
behavior
the
to
problem.
me is worse than what people call cultural appropriation. Because for cultural appropriation, I can get that I'm getting this from somebody else that might just be ignorant, or at least is not native to me. But the ones that the way we are doing everything to export, and I mean, to keep it 100 with you, when if you think about music, movies, writing, all the big arts that influence culture, yeah, and you speak to the typical African artists, the dream is to cross over. The dream of the average Nigerian writer is to be published by
It is
Penguin or one of
William.
these
It's not
guys.
William. It is not just these big celebrities or big artists or I want to be artists or whoever wants to be artist. It is even the common people. You see a Nigerian at the train station, you know, say that guy na Nigerian. You go say hello to them. You go use pure accent. The guy go speak, you go know say this na Igbo accent, but you go just put that Igbo thing so that they
No,
know.
no,
I
I don't
taste
think
you.
that
I
happens.
taste
I
you
don't
now,
think that
bro.
happens.
Tell you.
I don't think that
He's
happens.
I've met
Everywhere
talking
I
from
meet Nigerians
experience.
I've met
abroad,
chill now,
He's
William. I've met a
talking
lot
from
of
experience.
Nigerians. Now people like us now we be say, bro, there's nothing really to form because we've been there. You know what I mean? Like you
mm,
go see this Polish, bro. I work in a big corporate company where we say I don't see everything finish. Adamo don't see everything finish. My guy like he don't see everything. So there's nothing really where they fascinate me because I know say, bro, I have to be myself. I work in a corporate place where we say Australians, nationals, they like you have to have something to offer. You go get bread, you go get job. You know what I mean? So I'm always myself 100% because I know say I could fit present, give anybody. Even if King Charles said it, I go present and I won't have to fake accent. I'm gonna speak clearly. You go hear me and you go know say this guy is loaded. I don't have to fake accent,
Praise.
nothing.
Yes, speaking from a place
But chill, Adamu,
of
Adamu,
luxury.
chill, chill. Just because we've worked ourselves to that level, you know what I mean. But then you go meet just person will just come in, for example, you know what I mean.
mm,
You go begin the calling children Oyibo names, you know what I mean. I have two kids,
mhm,
all of them get like you go know say this one's not Nigerian names straight up because
mm,
I just want them to understand that look, before you are Australian, you were Nigerian, 100%. Now
mm,
you see a Nigerian that just came in, and before you know, everything will you. As if they just have kept the culture somewhere, just because they don't want to identify with that culture. Then Oyibo people now them now don't they do this? What's it called? They want to know where they are from. What's that thing called again? You
uh,
know,
uh,
DNA testing.
ancestry, DNA
genetic ancestry.
ancestry
Guess
test.
what? They are now changing their name. People that used to answer stones now they're now sending their names to like Tunde, and they are doing that. There are some big Nollywood celebrities that have just done that, and they've changed their name. Most of them are answering like Ghanaian names, Nigerian names, and all those sort of things. But us, for example, we are now the opposite, just because we do not appreciate these things that we've got, and that's a shame.
I
So
think
the
we've
the,
gone off
the truth is
Nate,
that
you
the truth is that how are we now going to imbibe, number one, change this mentality,
Wait, let me
get
ask you
back
one
the culture,
question. Let me ask you one question.
and
Don't you
fly
find
the
it
flag.
ironic? Don't you find it ironic that you're flagging people on the road for cultural appropriation, but you in your house cannot even practice cultural appreciation? If we that own it have this shyness about it or are willing to leave it once we cross the airport, yeah, do you really think that someone outside owes you the responsibility of taking good care of it or even respecting it if
So that's
you,
the
the
thing,
owner?
William. We don't care. Maybe
Hmm?
maybe praise cares, but we established from the beginning that it doesn't rub us off the wrong way, the way it does African Americans. Do you understand?
Of
I really
course,
don't
of
care
course.
if I speak to you and you answer me with a Britico accent. I make a mental note that you are delusional, you are insecure about your where you're from, who you are, and then I move on. Like I can't take it to social media and start a war
Mm.
and be like, why are Nigerians? No, I can't do that. But
You
I
know
want
what?
to tell you that I like. Can I
Mhm.
quickly land on something? I'm
Yeah.
gonna come back to what you said about when you were a child, you wanted to go to China, you wanted to be Chinese. Nobody was going to blame you at that time for wanting to even practice. You can even say some Chinese words. You can be saying things in Mandarin because you've heard them in movies. Nobody's going
How come I
to,
lay home
you
already?
know, yeah. What do you say?
Never mind. Let's not get
The guy,
Yeah.
started
the,
on
the
the
guy,
first
the
part.
guy,
So
Let's start
the
from
guy,
the
they
nobody's
line.
speak
going
Calabar.
to expect you to hold you accountable for, saying it, pronouncing them incorrectly. But when you're an adult and you have a fantasy about being Chinese, going to China, you owe them, whether you like it or not, the responsibility of doing some research. You can't go to a Japanese home and then maybe ask for a fork or start talking to the women in the house. You must
I
have done research to know that no,
disagree.
you go through the
I
father.
disagree.
Do you understand
I
what I mean? So
actually
that is the appreciation
nah.
that we preach.
No, 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 no. I
I'm
no.
coming.
I'm actually going to. Okay. Okay.
Let me just quickly land.
Uh huh. Uh
Another thing
huh.
that you owe yourself and you owe your community is to know how, on average, people act in some Asian countries. You can go on a bus or a train and they start touching your hair. You we may not take offense, but you can't do that to an African American. Or you can do it to them, but they should have done some research to know that these people are curious. They want to know what your hair texture feels like. Do you understand what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
basically, as adults, nobody's going to overlook and say, oh, you didn't know any better. You must learn about these cultures before you immerse yourself in their midst. You
Yeah,
must. So
definitely. Because you're
No,
gonna,
that's
yeah.
what we're talking
no,
about.
So you're
guys,
gonna be sounding
guys.
very
I
Yes.
ignorant. No. So
strongly
So when
disagree.
you
William, for
say
real though,
I
William,
when you
could
say do it
not
for
I am,
clout,
disagree
it's
more.
rude.
William,
Yes, when you
William,
say do
No,
it for
William,
I
cloud, do it
cannot
for
William.
disagree
culture,
I
do it
tell
for
more.
you,
everybody speaking.
sometimes I see it to be very offensive when you see me. You know that I'm African, I'm Nigerian, and the next thing that you are asking me is where is the capital of Africa, you know, and then you see me. Just
Uh
because
huh.
you think that I'm gonna know someone from Liberia, you are like, oh yeah, you should know that guy is from Kenya. Oh, you should know that guy is from South Africa, bro. I don't even know everyone from my
Guys,
little community. How am I
guys,
gonna know people? So because
I
I've done my own research,
strongly
I've done my
disagree
own
on all these
geography.
Yes,
You
points.
should do your own
yes.
because I'm not gonna see you. You
No.
are
How do I
you are
clap on
you are
this
you are
platform?
from Brazil. Then just because you are from Brazil, I know that you are South American. I know that you are from South American, and I'm
You
gonna
better,
ask you, do you know someone from
yes.
Philadelphia?
I
Because I
I will
know
tell you
that is two different continents and two
I will
different
tell you
countries.
why I disagree. I will tell you why I disagree. Yeah, this is why I disagree. Firstly, I will start from my own Igbo cultural perspective. Yeah. In Igbo culture, there's something we call Mwadiani. So if I go to my mother's village now, I am considered a Mwadiani. I I am allowed to break any of the rules and nobody takes offense. In fact, if you even break the rule, if your person is not there, the people there will protect you and they will tell people there that you are Mwadiani. When
What
your mother
does
now
Mwadiani
comes,
mean?
Nwa is child, D is like best translation I'll give is child of the soil.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's It's a
Like just
rough
no, 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 no. Is
translation.
your mom's? Is your mom's? Is not your dad. So
Yeah, my
because it's
mom's
your mom's,
place.
because your
Yeah,
mom's, you are now seeing like this one is that because you are not from there.
because they are
So
seen as they are from your father's place.
yes, yes. So
Exactly.
nothing can really be done to you. So
Yeah,
whatever it is that someone from there can
exactly.
do and don't go scot free, you can do and go scot free.
And go scot
But you see,
free.
when
Okay,
your
This
mom
is
comes, what happens?
then when your mom comes now, they will now say, Mariani did not know he cannot shake the king with two hands. Or they will just let her know, so she will tell you. But they obviously they can't punish her for something that you did. And
Okay.
for me, I like this point of it because the assumption should be that the stranger doesn't know. This idea that the stranger is supposed to know is not only new, it's also alien. And then even when you look at these cultures, I also feel like there's nothing you are going to read and watch on YouTube that if you enter a proper Yoruba person's house, you will not do rubbish. Even me that I'm Igbo, that I've been living in Lagos amongst Yoruba people. If I enter a proper, if you ask me now how do they greet, I know there is a mixture of either lying down or bending knee, but I couldn't even tell you for sure that, oh, this is exactly how it's supposed to be. And I feel like in this era, because we think we have an abundance of information, we translate it to, being able to acquire infinite knowledge. But really and truly, when you go to these places, you would find, I guess, there's this funny meme where someone says arriving in Japan and realizing there are no subtitles, you know, which obviously is hilarious because his experience of Japan is primarily through movies with the subtitles or whatnot, and it's just a joke. But I get it because even in these things that you might think, okay, I want to learn a little bit, you might even now adopt some more stereotypical rubbish and you go there. So the way I look at it is that we as hosts are supposed to allow strangers to be strangers. The only thing for me is don't just have the intent of looking down or, or being aggressive, or as long as your
William,
intent is peaceful. If you make mistakes, like say for example now in a lot of I don't know how you guys do it in your house, but in a lot of homes that year the father used to eat head of fish. I don't know who used to eat head
and
of fish in people's
and
house.
gizzard. Yeah.
And he's that. Now someone can stroll in and based on lack of information, you have shook hand and carried one head of fish, or you've shook hand and carried one gizzard. You
Okay.
understand? So I
Yeah. Can I
feel
say
like
something? Okay.
just to wrap up. My Oyibo friend came to visit and he looks and he thinks, wow, he has never even seen head of fish before. So he's thinking in his mind, foreign delicacy. Let me try this so I can. He will put it on his plate. He will snap it picture. He will send to his boys. First time eating head of tilapia. I cannot come out and be like, bro, are you mad? Don't you know whose fish this is? I have to make that room for him and just help him and be like, bro, if they catch you eating this head of fish, you buy whole fish. So that is the best way I can relate it to them. But I don't feel like the burden of politeness, the burden of acceptance, the burden of teachability can be on the stranger. But I don't think it's fair to have the burden of knowledge on the stranger. If I already know, I'm no longer a stranger. So yeah,
Okay. Now can I respond to William?
Adams, you go talk later, but yeah, you can respond now.
Okay, so William, honestly, you're giving apologists. That's what you're doing. I don't know if you know you're doing it, but that's what you're doing. You are making excuses for the perpetrator. Now, this your friend, I'm using your analogy, who comes to your house, and
Mhm.
then carries the gizzard on and starts snapping picture. Somebody will say, even if it's your little sister, she'll be like, you took the gizzard. Now, it's for the guy to be like, was I not supposed to take the gizzard? I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, how do we do it? He's asking questions. That is the appreciation we're talking about. We're not saying you must know everything,
No, but
but
me and you
humble yourself to
are
ask
saying, me and
questions.
you are saying
How
the
is it
same thing
done?
now. I told no, me
Are
and you
you
are saying the same
sure
thing
we're
because I
saying the
told you
same thing?
that.
Because no,
No, no,
you
no.
are
I
making
told you.
excuses
I told
for
you. I told
the
you the
people that
person
are
has to be
offending.
open. The person has to be open to be teachable, which means that when you do commit the offense
No,
and it's
you no,
brought to your
your
attention,
main point was that the responsibility is on the host to
yes,
teach that person.
Excuse me.
yes.
The
Okay,
host
I still stand by
is a
I
that.
want
Yes,
responsibility.
is
The guest also has a responsibility to
to be
open his mind to learn.
teachable, We're saying the same thing.
William, I beg, let me just say, see, ignorance is not an excuse to act a fool. You know,
Agreed. Ignorance is not an
yeah,
excuse.
in Australia,
My
for in
favorite
Australia,
excuse. So sorry, I did not know.
in Australia, for example, right? It's boldly written that ignorance is not an excuse. In Australia, if you are coming to Australia, there is a book for guide. They are more than happy for you to use your foreign driver's license and drive, but make sure you don't break the rule, because if you break the rule, you're gonna face the law. You're gonna face the penalty. And you just coming and not knowing, and then you can use a foreign driver's license to drive is not an excuse for you to break the law. You need to know the rudiments. You need to know all the road signs for you to be able to drive. Yes, drive with your foreign whatever driver's license, but please know the rules. So if you come to Nigeria, for example, and then you know that, and you don't know that head of fish is not supposed to be eaten, and then you go and get head of fish and do TikTok with it, you are disrespecting the culture by not asking questions. You are supposed to be
Agree.
asking questions. I'm married to a Yoruba
Yeah.
woman. You know, their culture is very different from that of Akwa Ibom. I'm Calabar. You know what I mean? I'm from. Then again, I have to always ask questions every time. There are a lot of things that my wife family would do. I'm like, come on, man. You know, but that's their culture. And then there are some things that I do. She'll be like, really, you guys? See, we know they joke with head of anything, head of cow, head of goat. She know they chop am. She dislikes it. But why are you gonna tell me not to eat ishewu, Oga? You know what I'm saying? So these are two different things. She know if we go buy ishewu, the intestine, she know they like them because they don't eat it. I'm like, that intestine might be the real thing, you know. The nyash of the goat, she no want to the see am at all. But you see that nyash of the
Ew,
goat,
bro.
it too mad. It too makes sense. So these are the things, right? So where I'm from, these things are not a child's play at all. The nyash of the goat, the head of
No,
the
but
goat, the
praise,
intestine, those
praise.
things are used for pepper soup. I'm coming. But then again, because where she's from, they just chuck it out in the bin and stuff like that. That's ignorance. Because this is prestige for me, and this is not prestige for her. So if I go to their house, I need to understand that these things are just not important. But if they come to my house, they know that these things are very important to me. This is where knowledge and asking a lot of questions comes in. So if you are a foreigner and then you are coming to my country and then you want to be thinking that everything is cruise, that's jokes on you. If I come to your country, I need to do all the appropriate stuff. Because the things that, right, they come to our country and they see us disrespect something that is supposed to be preserved. That's what makes these guys to do what they do, because we did not give respect to what needs to be given respect to. 100%.
Adam,
So
I
praise.
never hear your voice. So.
No, like I just said in the comment section, my work is to facilitate, right? I'm here to ask questions the audience will want to ask. And then you people, my knowledgeable people, will educate us on based on your experience. Praise, you just touched on the fact that ignorance is not an excuse. And I feel like you're holding strangers or people who don't know about your culture to a high standard that you don't hold yourself to. There are many children I see growing up in the West that have no idea about their culture. Me, for
Because the
example,
West doesn't have a culture.
there's many
They do.
Nigerians that cannot
How can you
speak
say they
their
don't have
language.
culture?
No,
Is
they
it not
don't.
their
Because
language all of us are speaking? You say
I
they
live
don't
in the
have
West.
culture.
If that's what you want to call
You
the
can't say
culture,
they
that's
don't
not the
have
culture to me.
culture. Bro, they have cultural dressing, suit
Have
and
you
tie. They have
okay?
cultural
If that's
food, even if it's bangers and mash. You can say it's tasteless, but that's their cultural food. Bangers and mash, beans on toast,
Their way
whatever.
of life.
Yeah, it is their way. The British go and jump queue. You know that lining up is in their culture. So this
mm,
guy, yes,
okay.
now they have
I
culture.
feel
Finish.
it. Yeah,
Their
on that
culture
one, I
is
give it to you.
just so ubiquitous that we don't see it. It's just so everywhere. That's why when you wear suits or in Nigeria now, you do traditional wedding, you do white wedding. White wedding is somebody's culture now. White
Mm.
wedding is somebody's culture. But bro, I promise you, line up.
Is it?
They should not
You see,
cancel me.
I've
Line up
accepted my
1,000
ignorance. I've
Nigerian
accepted my
women
ignorance,
and
and I'm
ask,
pleading
would
for
you rather
leniency,
have
Oga.
ask, would you rather have traditional wedding only or white wedding only? answer will shock you, but
That if I want to
even
go deep to this stuff, we can now agree that Christianity is just Igbo culture that they brought in and then we accepted it and then we are
of
flying with it.
course it's Oyibo culture. That
Okay,
one is
but if you want
if
to
I
go
talk
into
that
that
one
topic
now, they
now, but
no, that
anyway,
one is their that one is fully their culture now. How many black Jesus have you seen? In Lagos here now, if they paint black Jesus and put in a church, how many people do you think would even enter? And the funny thing is, even this Christianity of a culture is not even originally European. It's actually more so Middle Eastern. There was churches in Ethiopia before England now. But the thing is, these guys when they collect something and they put it in their culture, they change it. Who was called John in the
that's not
Middle
that
East
that's
2,000 years
not.
ago?
I think even the name Jesus Christ is not the original name. It's
Even
not the
the
original
name,
name.
you understand?
Yeah, but if you want to
Hmm.
start talking about this, it's gonna be as if we're antichrist. But that's just the fact. Jesus Christ, his original name is Jehoshua. But if you want to start all
So before we
this
go down a rabbit hole,
conversation,
I see us
you
going
know,
down a rabbit hole with this religion thing, right?
Mm,
Just to pull us back to the center. We're talking about cultural appropriation and from a general perspective, right? Where white people braiding black hair. Now you want them to give credit. In what context? Is it that every time that they post, they should say who should they give the credit to? How should they give credit? Because look, there's a lot of people on the sidelines who are genuinely curious about these things. If my wife wants to braid her hair, what should she say and who should she say it to before she
Doesn't,
braids her hair? How
doesn't
would
that
you know that
sound
she
weird even
appreciates the
asking
culture?
it? Doesn't that even sound weird asking
Adamu,
it?
Adamu. The thing is that right?
No, it doesn't sound weird.
Your wife is
Adams is
married to
asking
you.
a valid
That's a
question.
very valid question, my friend. That's a very
And I
valid
like
question.
what Praise is about to say. Praise, go on.
Your wife is married to you. That
Mhm.
makes her a Nigerian. You know what I mean? Number one,
It
not just a
means it
Nigerian. That
means that
she's faced a dose.
she's not a vulture. She's not
She's not.
scavenging off of the
Yep.
culture. She's not
Yep.
scavenging off of the culture to boost her image. You know the way Adam, remember when you used to tell me that when you go to parties, people will start conversations with you like, "Oh, I used to have a black coworker." Just to connect with you. But it is so offensive. It's
Mm,
so like you don't have to say anything to me. Just go. You don't have to tell me. I used to have one friend who had a black house help and she was really nice. It's
mm.
it's rude, So Monique can braid her hair because she's married to you. She loves you. She has given birth for you. We can tell that she's not scavenging off of the culture
Nope.
for fame
She's
or
part of
for
us.
clout.
Yep.
Do you understand what I mean? She doesn't owe anybody any explanation. She can braid her hair to twin with her daughter.
Yep.
It's different. But
Yep.
somebody who is clearly in a vanilla world only associates with vanilla people. Her parties, you don't see any black person there. And then all of a sudden, maybe because she has a what do you call it, like an outreach program. What do you call that thing? That Bill Gates has a foundation and she wants
Foundation.
to
Foundation, yeah.
probably reach out to the world. Then she knows that she's visiting Africa. And then she goes and braids her hair all back, all does cornrows. It's insulting. Like
And then and
we
then
know what you're
and
doing.
then and then we'll stop
You want to
braiding once
profit
that foundation
off of the
finish.
culture.
Yep.
Go
When
on.
it's convenient. When
I'm
it's
done.
convenient. When it's convenient,
And
you
it's
want to
Why
do
is
it.
it so
convenient.
Yeah.
violent?
Yeah, but that's the
Right.
truth. Now,
Me,
Adam, this is what me and
oh,
you said. I'm like, you
I
cannot do
am,
it when it's convenient, and then when it's time to come out and do Black Lives Matter, we don't see you. That's not what we want. If you want to be black, be
No,
black.
you see, you're saying two different things, right?
right. You
Um,
don't,
um,
okay, yeah, yes,
Protesting
carry on.
and enjoying culture are two very different things. I'm not a protester. Doesn't mean I'm an apologist. Standing and
Then why?
fighting is
So
not
why?
my strong
So why do you
suit.
want to do
So
it
you
when it's
can't
convenient for
expect
you?
somebody to come
And you
and
don't want to be
fight
part of
your
the culture
battle.
when the struggle is up. When the struggle is up, we don't see you. When it's time for you to come and chop rice and chicken and do small jobs, we see you. That's not how it's done,
Bro,
my
but
sister.
that's how
That's
dude, all the stuff
exactly.
that's going on in
Yeah, but
Taiwan,
we
yeah, all the
can't be
stuff
giving
that's going on.
excuses. We cannot be giving excuses to
No,
this kind of things,
no,
bruh.
no, 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 no.
You
Look, all the stuff
know?
that's going on in Taiwan with China, yeah, is hot and everything, but I want to keep it a buck with you, bro. Like, come Chinese New Year, I'm probably going to be watching the TV for the coolest dragon. I'm not going to be like, oh, because I'm protesting with. No, it's just like, look, I and this is something let's get into the full controversy of these matters. Yeah, honestly, and I will say this anywhere. This idea that somehow an external party will give you honor that you have not bestowed to yourself is ridiculous. Every other race slash continent, at the very least, they have spots of very high civilization that make sure the sign value of their culture is never disputed. The Arabs, they have
I
Saudi
beg to
Arabia,
differ.
Qatar.
I beg to
No, no,
differ.
just
I
hold on,
beg to
hold on, hold
differ.
on, hold on, hold on, hold on,
Okay,
hold on.
land.
The Arabs, they have Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, this Dubai, etc. Asians, they have Singapore, China, Japan, etc. The whites have pretty much all of Europe and America. For Africa now, one of the problems we have is we do not have these places that are current places that are the hosts of our civilization that can compete with these other spaces. And whether we know it or not, whether we like it or not, it influences the way people see us and treat us and our culture. If you look at, say, Arabs, for example, you can trash talk Islam all you want, but best believe if I step out in that their white kaftan with the red thing, your assumption is that I have money. Even if I don't have 1 naira to my name, the reason you have that assumption is because they have created a civilization that is independent of anybody wearing that thing. It's just that the civilization has stamped it that this is what this means, you know? And every other space has this. The only space here, we have to invent it in things like Wakanda. We have to create fictional versions of these things to make it exist in entertainment. These guys will create Gotham, which is a shitty version of New York, because New York is already that cool that there is no need to create a fantasy version. And we now, like, if you read my work, bro, all my work, when I say my work is African, bro, my work is even, you can even argue that my work is anti-Christian. I mean, I used to carry it there. My work is overly rooted. But for these things, what I tell people is, if I am taking the responsibility to write this thing, to make sure that when they are calling for foundational African literature, I'm laying the block. This is the work we need to be getting done. And up until that point comes where there is a group of black civilizations here that you can say, oh boy, bring your civilization, we'll wrestle with you. We are always going to experience these things. The most developed black place in Africa is South Africa. It's also the most white dominated. If there is anything that makes me feel shameful about being Africa, it is this particular reason. Because what it shows is that there is no magic. It's just a demographic problem. There is no magic. What it shows is that, okay, if these guys come here and they set their same, what they do is they photocopy their standard. If you go to SA now, weed is legal, prostitution is legal. Guess where else these two things are legal? The Dutch. Guess who were the first guys to colonize South Africa even before the British? The Dutch. You know what that means? It means whatever game plan they are doing in their fatherland, they will come here and say, oh boy, we have to do this thing here too, because those guys in Denmark cannot be enjoying, and we are here
I come
living,
You're
up.
missing out.
Come,
You're missing
living.
out a vital point. You're missing out a very vital point, William, in everything that you've said. These places that you're
Okay.
comparing us to, they have never been
Mm-hmm.
oppressed. They have never been loitered and exploited. Nobody has sat down to divide Europe or the Arab world. Do you understand me? So now you want us to come and say, let's create our own award. It's small, small. It's small, small. 30 December just became a thing after maybe 5 years of consistency. Before you know what's happening, it'll eventually materialize into something tangible. But until then, don't forget that the reason why these African American
What?
we lost your
You
voice.
good?
Yeah, I think she's getting a phone call. I feel like we're touching on very important topics here, and sometimes these conversations are hard to have because it's sensitive. It could easily spiral. And Ree just asked a valuable question, right? She said she doesn't have a black husband, no, any husband for that matter, can she not braid her hair?
No worries. All right, cool. We'll talk later.
Praise, can you answer Reed?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, really, you can do whatever you want to do with your hair. 100%, that's your hair. But if someone asks you, what style of hair is this? You should be able to tell the person what style of hair it is and why you braided it. That's just how I see it. Because if
I'm so
you
sorry.
are
I had
wearing,
to.
that's
I'm
fine.
sorry.
Because
I'm sorry I cut the conversation short because I got a call. That's the meeting I have to attend, but they've given me 10 minutes.
all
So
right, to
I
finish. All
didn't hear William's response because I hadn't finished my sentence.
I had a
I was basically
responded.
saying, okay. So I was basically saying that you are holding us up to the standard. Look at where you're comparing. You're comparing, um, maybe at Nigeria. I don't know how to. I've lost my train of thoughts. But basically, you are holding us up to a standard that we haven't even gotten our act together. When the so-called colonials were leaving Nigeria, they left power in the hands of people that they could manipulate, and it's still happening. It's still happening. They come, they want the resources under your ground. They pay the government, they pay the local government. Those ones will collect because they don't know that what they have is worth more than the few millions that they are giving. These people will give you $1 million, $2 million. They are taking what hundreds of millions of dollars from you. Now, the community is impoverished. There's a reason they say everybody is mad in Lagos because we struggle twice as hard. Everything is difficult for us. Do you understand?
100%.
Me. So when Nigerians brag about having US visa, oh, I've got US visa, I've got UK visa, and then when you go there, people want to treat you anyhow because they know that you want to be there. They know that you want a better life, and it's not even a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to want something better for your life and for your children because most times you have to be removed from a situation before you can see the problem clearly and try to fix it.
Sister,
So you have to
sister,
try and be,
sister.
yeah,
Yeah, I like it. I know you've got 10 minutes, but I like you to be here while I address the pinned
okay.
um comments. Reed, I mean, like I said, you can do whatever you want to do with your hair. That's your hair. But then again, if you do a braid, for example, like a Nigerian, very typical deep cultured hairstyle, because with all different places,
Yeah.
like the southern Nigeria, we have our own different, the Igbo have it, the Yoruba, the Hausa have it. So if you do any of this kind of hairstyle and someone asks you, maybe at your job or on the street or something, you should be able to tell them why, because there's a story behind every hairstyle. There is a story behind Agbada, for example. There's a story behind the senator that we wear in the southern Nigeria, for example. There's a story behind what they do or what Adam will wear. So I'm not just gonna wear Adam's outfit just because I feel like wearing it. If what if someone asks me, what am I going to say? So you need to be able to explain or to just tell people. Because if I wear a Man U jersey and someone is asking me if what are you wearing, I should be able to tell the person that I'm wearing a Man U jersey. I'm not a Man U fan, but I love Man United. This is why I'm
Praise,
wearing this jersey.
praise.
That's how
Because
I
we're
just
running
say it.
out of time. Sorry, praise. Because we're running out of time, I want to keep it punchy, right? So what you're saying now is read all foreigners should do their homework, should do their research to understand the history of that piece of culture that they are putting on,
Yeah,
whether
yeah.
it be clothing or hair.
Yes, whether
Now,
it's
now,
clothing or don't just do it just because you can. Yes, sure, do it, but then have some sort of backing. Like know what you are doing practically. Because I mean,
you see, there's
I want
this
for example, like
the
there's two
tough
sides.
question. I want the tough question. You just asked about wigs, Abby.
No, not wigs. I'm saying like braids. And just
Okay.
to throw small background there or history, I was doing some digging today, and the history of braids is actually Norwegian. It's not African. That's
Adam, are you saying the
Bro,
slaves knew about
no.
Norway? The African
You
slaves that
know
were
that
picking cotton and twisting their children's
dude,
hair.
dude,
Did
I
they
don't.
know about braids?
I know they
They
no,
were
they
did
can't.
not.
I know
Let's
they were
So, so,
braiding in
so,
Norway too, but I don't think they
okay, so they're
invented it
braiding in
though.
no. I'm
Norway,
not saying. I'm just
but
hear me,
okay.
hear me, right?
Fake news, bro.
ChatGPT just
They when
misguide
they
my guy.
came, when they came,
Thank you,
when
ChatGPT, Norway.
they
We too
came. That's what
dash
I'm saying.
Norway.
I did the
Are they not
research today.
Caucasians?
I'm not a historian, right? When they came, they brought combs. Before they came, we didn't have combs. We had different
What are you on
hairstyles. They were
about,
Come on, man.
bro?
Are you
Bro,
It's just
kidding
combs
me?
like saying they
things
How
brought.
will
in
we
It's just like saying
Egypt,
change
they brought
our
bro.
mirrors.
hair?
They brought mirrors. But then again,
No, what I'm saying
Bro,
is,
there's
you see how
there's
just
plenty
sorry,
combs in
William, give me a
Egypt.
sec, give me a sec,
Uh-huh.
give me a sec.
Oh,
You see how
okay.
if you go to Thailand and you eat their food, there's similarities to African food. Not because
Yeah.
they stole African culture, because we are growing the same type of spices, we just use them in different volumes. So us claiming that we invented braids, it could be that another culture also had the same thing. Is what I'm
Of
saying
course.
in regards to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily from one region. So you can go ahead now.
Okay, so let's leave braids out of it. What about Post Malone? This guy broke into entertainment singing hip hop. In fact, his first debut, he had braids on his hair and was rapping hip hop music. He did not rap in Norwegian. He rapped in the normal lyrical rhythm of hip hop. You know, the minute he became famous, this guy has switched to country music. Now, not only did he switch to country music, he granted an interview and said that hip hop didn't have the depth that he needed to send his message across. Is that not the highest cultural appropriation you can? It was so tasteless. It was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
How can you say that the thing that made you famous, now you have taken advantage of it, you have benefited, you have profited off of it, and you
God
pivot.
bless you,
You have
Uti.
now moved to country music and you're talking trash
God bless you,
about
Uti.
hip
Mm,
hop.
Uti,
It
before
was
you join,
so
this was what we were saying. These cultural vultures. God bless you, my brother.
mm. Now see,
where's Uchi?
I'm
Uti
happy
is
you
fine.
brought
It's
up
lighting up
Post
the comment
Malone.
section. It's lighting it up. Love
I'm
him.
very happy you brought
Love
up
that
Post
man.
Malone because I feel like that is an example of a bad actor. That you are in
Okay.
a clear user position, which is
Yes.
different from this is someone that you are trying to enter an industry. It's almost like
Okay.
how maybe a babe that normally she's conservative. If she wants to enter hip hop, maybe the marketing guy will tell her, you have to wear short clothes too, you have to do this, you have to do that. So you are aware of what you are doing, basically.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
different from someone that is just ignorant. You just don't know. You just don't get it. And I'm going to
Can
address
I hear
that
an
colonization
amen?
point.
William, will you now say do it for clout to Post Malone because he did it for clout? Are you gonna stand on that statement of do it for clout, do it for whatever you want to do it
If
for? Do
you
you
were doing
agree?
it for clout
Mm-hmm.
and you can still respect it, I don't have any problem with you doing it. I don't mind
Okay.
you doing
Mm.
it. If you like it enough that you think it's cool, it's okay. You can do it. Just don't insult it. That's my only thing.
Exactly. Okay. So
My stance
it's
is
yeah.
my stance is basically you can do whatever that is neutral or positive with the culture. Just don't do something negative. If Post Malone had trans trans transition to whatever it is music he's doing now, yeah, and he just never badmouthed hip hop, to me, he would just be another guy that started rapping and transitioned, which there are many that they start rapping and say, okay, maybe money is not coming in plenty in rap or whatever, and they transition. When it's ugly is when you now start turning to burn bridges. And for this colonization matter, this is an argument that is raised 150 times. And it definitely does have its merits. But people also do forget that, like, not as much as us, but also China was colonized, not as much as us, definitely, but a lot of places in Asia were also colonized. I feel like the big problem here is we are in a cycle of waiting for the savior. That savior, either we blame the white man for disrupting the politics or we blame our current leaders for disrupting the politics. People forget that when you check almost every European country, somewhere in their history, there is
There
a
was a
clear mark,
revolution.
like clear as in English ones, they let those ones keep their head. French, that one, they not even let you keep head, you know.
What
So
about what happened at LCC? Was that not a revolution? It's just that they brought
see,
guns
see,
to kill people's
bruh.
children.
See, I'll tell you for free. Me, I was at LCC before the action happened now. I was, bro, we did there, we did play music, we did. when the thing hits you, they're not the third person. You think those guys at the French Revolution were there with their guitars and violins?
It's
They
true.
were there dragging. See, this same, like, I don't want to go over too much. You even have to move now. But for these things, even something as common as, like, say, look at China now. You'll be hearing that somebody stole thousands of yuan. It has not even reached million. But because he's a public officer, they will put him to death. Here
Death
now,
sentence. Yeah.
if somebody's driving now with big motorcade, one politician, you see everybody boss, 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 boss. In those kind of situations, I'm just like, bruh, nobody can help you. See, even if they leave you, you can't even help yourself because you don't even understand. Like I feel like Africans, we just first once we are aware of the game that is going on. You see, the Chinese, they got aware to it quick and they figured out, oh, these guys are top dog, and the only way to be top dog too is to engage them in active fighting. Look at the deep seek now. Now the whole world is wailing. Bro, those Chinese guys, I guarantee you, their president has called them and has told them, don't worry. If anybody sue you for breaching open AI copyright, nothing will happen to you. This is because these guys have the natural understanding that the war is on, and no, God forbid, the world is not going to use just America's AI. Because I was writing an essay about a third wave of colonization that would be an AI colonization that was going to happen everywhere. The Chinese is the only reason it's not going to happen the way I imagine it would happen. Because if there was no contestant, America would have carried that market. And guess what? 40 years from now, you will ask Chat. You can go now and ask ChatGPT,
Yeah.
what is the
Okay. I
first
have to go,
language
guys.
group?
Bye.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you
Ciao.
for
Thank you so
joining.
much.
You can go now and ask ChatGPT, what is the first language group?
I will
It
bring
will
it to
tell
you.
you it's Afro-Asiatic languages, which obviously is not possible. Niger Congo languages clearly would have come first. But guess what?
Are you sure you want
Is
me in this
Oyibo
one?
man's data and Oyibo man's this thing. You now want it to give the answer that you want it to give. Benny, you gotta build your own. Oh.
Loki.
Man like Uchi,
No, they
boss
look at
party,
me. No, they look at me.
Loki.
I didn't
Ufre.
join that talk. I didn't join that talk. When I continue,
Where they give,
Your
I'm
Indomie
listening.
Yeah.
there.
I am but
you know, give
an
us Christmas
observer.
goods. You know, give us Christmas goods. You know, give your favorite
When it be Christmas
TV,
goods, who Christmas
TV.
goods?
You know, give your favorite TV people Christmas goods. Abba, happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
We
I
just
don't mean to
entertain you.
interrupt. Yes, I'm listening. I'm listening. Please, William, continue. You people are very cerebral here, so I'm listening.
You get so like for these things now, me, I feel like we need to understand that this is what the game is. Like when it comes to this, they say people are talking about content. Bro, actors full Nigeria now. Directors full Nigeria. All these things, they are all here. But the problem now is when that money comes to make that big movie, you'll be hearing that they gave somebody $1 million to make a Nigerian movie. Most of that money will enter somebody's pocket. You will now come and ask later, why is Eddie Murphy playing
But that's different,
Mufasa?
William. That's different. Like corruption and all of those sort of stuff are different. This is what I said earlier, right?
How is it
I,
different?
I was saying, for example, look, man, like when that Welcome to America thing came in, and then they were projecting Africa. It's Welcome to America, and then you are acting in African accent, and then you are so American,
I
and
want to
then
go to the water to fetch a bucket of spray.
I'm not like, does that mean that we did not have African actors, regardless of how much the money was? Eddie Murphy would have still been Eddie Murphy in that movie, still doing his thing, but we should have had, you know, original African actors that are coming in from Africa. Let's even shoot part of that movie in where it's supposed to be shoot, like South Africa, for example. But
I
you cannot shoot
agree.
everything. You cannot shoot everything in America, and then you're projecting Africa, and then you are trying to, that's you just enjoying the glory. It doesn't make sense to me. You know,
Well, let,
it does
let, let,
not just make sense.
let me ask you a
That's
question though.
cultural
Do you think coming to
appropriation right
America,
there.
do you think coming to America projected Africa in a good light?
I'm not saying, yeah, sure, definitely, but that's not Africa. That's not Africa. Like in Africa, do we even ride on a freaking? Look at what they were doing. You know, Did you see all the animals?
Bro,
The way he
obviously,
was like,
bro, obviously, those movies, these are old movies when the world was relatively largely asleep about a lot of these things. So
how
I
about
even
how
don't
about how about how
feel
about the Lion King? How about what Beyonce did?
Lion King,
Yeah,
bro. Lion King is a cartoon now. We can't like,
cartoon where
No,
don't
it's
get.
a cartoon,
like.
Come
but
on,
doesn't. But it's about African
it's
culture.
about African culture
What
now.
do you
You know.
mean? Is our culture or jungle culture? People should stop it, too.
It was set in Africa. Lion King is set in Africa. Lion
It's
King is
set in a
set in Africa.
jungle, not
Yeah, is that in
Africa.
Mhm.
No,
Africa, but it's not an African
Africa,
human
Africa. Please, what
society.
jungle? What
Eh?
jungle did they have lions and all this
I don't
stuff
even know the
now? We know
jungle that all
what
those
is
ones.
Hakuna Matata. Hakuna Matata is Kenya now.
Mm.
Hakuna Matata is Kenyan.
Yeah,
It's not even Kenya. It's what's that their language again?
Swahili.
Oh, I keep
Swahili,
forgetting.
Swahili.
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 That's Swahili now.
Yeah.
So we can't now say, okay, so we're just speaking Swahili in India. It's like saying Jungle Book was not set in India. What are we
Ye-
saying? Stop now.
Yes, but
That was African
but I'm not
culture.
expecting Jungle Book to reflect Indian
So
culture now. And it's a story set in
so
a
can you
jungle. It's
say?
like
So can you
Judge of the
say? So
Jungle.
But
William,
As
can
far as
you
the
I'm
say?
animals
concerned,
were
Judge of
given
the Jungle.
personalities. And
Huh?
when you give animals personalities in a region, you are literally, come on, let's call it spade a spade. If I'm
Oh
making a
wow.
movie about house pets in Lagos and I give those house pets personalities and voices, obviously I'm giving them Lagosian personalities and voices.
Mm-hmm.
So if I make a movie about an African jungle, I'm giving those animals personalities and human voices.
Yeah.
I'm indirectly using the animals to represent that culture and the personalities of the people of that region. So come on, even Jungle
Oh
Book, you could
no,
tell.
no, 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 no.
So
Okay, that's a
William.
reach.
So William,
That's a
But
reach.
what do
are you
you
And I'll
think
tell
saying
you why that's
animation
a
is?
reach.
William?
Animation
Actually,
is
no, 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 no,
imitation
no,
of
no.
life now.
Yes,
Animation
yes,
is
but
yes. So you
but
can use animation. So are you telling me that if
you
I want
can
to
use
make
animation to reflect life. You can use it, but it's not always the case. For
so
things like
if I want to tell a story about let's say my life right now, and we don't want to spend big budgets casting people,
Mhm.
bro, we can resort to animation and tell my same life history with animation. It's just like when you make documentaries about like maybe some psychology course or whatever,
Okay. I have
explaining
the
how to
perfect
think or
example. I
whatever.
have the perfect
Yeah,
example. You know
yeah,
George Orwell's Animal Farm?
exactly.
Yeah. Now that is when you cannot read George Orwell's Animal Farm and not know that this guy is clearly speaking about communist Russia. He's just using animals to talk about economics. And it's clear, it's not even, it's so obviously an allegory. But
Yeah,
something like
because they were definitely trying to. It's a political
it's
satire, if I may say. It
exactly,
is an
and it's
animated
clear on it.
political satire. No, animated
Yes.
political satire.
Hmm.
However,
Lion
with
King is not
Lion
like that,
King,
though.
Lion King was not political. It was more
Yeah.
what word would I use?
It's just a
More
typical
social.
adventure movie. It's a
No,
typical
it's not an
adventure movie.
adventure. It's not
In
an
fact,
adventure.
It's
It's
cultural.
like you are talking about.
It's cultural
It's
because
very cultural.
it was
It's
just
extremely
displaying, yes,
cultural.
very deeply cultural.
you
You know,
guys think Lion King reflected culture?
No,
How?
definitely
they were saying it
the
was not.
kingship,
It
the
was
kingship.
culturally appropriated.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
kingship. Just how it's done. You have a king that passed, and then the son becomes one, and then the uncle tried to snatch the throne. Like it was just so cultural.
that's a
So he
very
had.
African story.
That's a
Come
very
on,
African story. So he had to fight
You
this.
it's a very
guys don't
African story.
hear of succession fights in Europe? You
It's still
Stop
very
now.
guys
Then
don't
why
hear
didn't
of
they make? Okay, so why didn't they make a movie about foxes? Why didn't they make a movie about
about what?
foxes and what other foxes and other animals in
Because they
Britain? Why did they
already
have
made
to?
it now. They have to be going around. They will do Mowgli. They will do
That's what I'm
Mulan.
telling you. So it came to
Mulan is even
Africa's time. See, we
Mulan
shouldn't even
even
be
has
arguing about
Mulan can
this,
even
yeah.
make this argument for Lion King.
No, no,
I feel
we
like
are losing the plot.
see
We are
see
losing
see
the plot by
the
arguing about Lion King. I mean, it
yeah,
goes
yeah,
without saying
yeah.
that they were inspired by African culture, and we were misrepresented as a continent.
did they even give that credit? Are you sure they even
Yeah,
gave that credit?
exactly.
You
Do you
know,
understand? I mean, like, okay, take
You
off
don't sing
Hakuna
that Kuna
Matata. I
Matata
mean, go
now.
to the original
You don't-
African King. Go to the original Lion King. Take away Hakuna Matata from that movie, and
Ain't
see
nobody
whether it will still
trying to
have the
watch.
same.
Ain't nobody
musical
trying to
effects.
watch a proper Lion King movie because firstly, Simba is supposed to have like 4 babes as normal in any pride, or even
Which is why
6.
I
Yes,
said we
now.
were duly misrepresented. We're misrepresented all the time. And because these colonial masters came with this magical book and told us that we should do this and not do this, and now these same colonial masters are over there realizing how narcissistic religion can be, and they're doing everything within their power to make lives more bearable for their citizens. But Africans have decided to hold on to this book that they used to perpetuate slavery and oppression and suppression, and we have refused to let it go. So we're saying the same thing, bro. We're saying the same thing. Misrepresentation. I love the fact that you said Simba was supposed to have 4 or 5 wives. So why are you doing a movie saying Hakuna Matata and with a monkey that has an African accent, but the lion has a Yimbo accent? Like
Baba,
the
because
fuck? What
they
are you guys
made it
doing?
because they made it for their market. When these guys
We're
were still
saying the
using
same
flip,
thing.
they were still using flip
Appropriation.
book animation that year. Oh.
Appropriation.
It's
Wait,
going to be easy to give an example of how this cultural appropriation can swing both ways. I remember
Mm.
growing up watching movies where Jim Ike would be speaking with Black American
Thank
accent. And then we have
anyway,
our parents that used to speak painful phone when they're trying to talk to somebody that's come from abroad. In
Whoa.
my opinion,
how many times? How
it
many
needs to
times?
be
How many
flawed.
no
times will I
cost
don't
me.
laugh me for this life? Wait
No
now.
no
How
cost
many
me. I
times?
don't
How many
play I
times?
don't play role when I don't do I wanna gonna go no before. No cost me.
That is
Uti, that one even
appropriation.
there. That one even there. How many times when I don't laugh me for this lifestyle that you say I get a Kwaiban accent? Choke. But then it is cool for a Chinese guy to speak, and then we are like, oh, he's Chinese. Oh my God,
No,
look at
Why
his
am I
it's
accent.
not.
do
I
it
find
better
it
than
funny.
yours? That's right.
You know what?
I find
Do it
their
better
And
than
then
accent.
it's
yours.
I
cool.
find their accents
Wait,
hilarious,
wait. Then
bro.
it's
Not
cool for
cool.
an Indian person to come and speak English, and then we know that's an Indian, and they will
Says
excuse him.
who?
No,
Hey,
Says
but
this is
who?
we
German.
laugh
Says
at
No, no,
them
who?
that's
too
I
just
don't
now.
laugh
We laugh
everybody
at
with
them
accent
but
too.
because
if
I
a
find it
Nigerian, if a
entertaining.
Kwaiban person speaks, if a Kwaiban or an Igbo person or an Hausa person speaks English with an accent, everybody go laugh.
But is it
Cultural
funny
Because it's
though?
appropriation.
funny,
But is it
bro.
funny though?
How
It's funny
Because there
about
are
though.
British
cultural?
accents that will make me laugh. And when Indian people
Yeah.
are speaking English, they say, the other time that I didn't want to go there, I will laugh. Do you understand? When I cry for will
Check
come
it
and say,
now.
they
It's
didn't tell me
funny.
that the young John, I will laugh. Do you
Mm.
understand?
you know,
When Edo or Delta person say, I said again, I can't me Gerard, we go laugh. Which is why comedy is very, very hilarious from the South South. So it's not like we're laughing in a degrading manner. It's entertaining. It's
no,
the same
sometimes.
way we can hear other African nations, like Ghanaians, we laugh at them all the time. But they pass that.
Mm.
We do. It's normal. It doesn't mean like we hate it or we're mocking it.
Mm,
It's just entertaining.
Ah, me,
all
I'll
It's
right.
laugh
entertaining.
tomorrow.
Don't
Don't
take it
worry.
personally. It's when you now are like, that's a disgusting accent. How dare you? We are speaking in your colonial master's
Uh-huh.
accent. That's when it's a
Mm.
problem. Okay? Because even in that same British, there's some British comedy I watch, and the way the British person speaks makes me laugh. I watched Back in Action,
Yes,
and the
now.
way what's her name? Is it Glenn Close that played Cameron Diaz's mother? The way she spoke her British accent, it was very entertaining to me. Not in a mocking way, but I laughed all the time because she was like, "I'm British, no hugs." You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
it
yeah.
does. Nah,
We
don't
don't
be
give full
salty.
talks. Yeah,
We
yeah.
love you,
Especially with,
Akwa Max yet.
especially in Bridgerton. Like there's
Aha.
some deep
Hey.
Bridgerton. There's some deep English accent that I'm like, wow. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, Uti, before you join, I was saying, I was going somewhere with this. I've lost my train of
You
thought.
don't forget.
Mm.
Hey
No worry.
Anyway,
You're not
Joe,
going
You go.
anywhere now.
you gonna come back.
Joe.
You gonna come.
You
You
When
gonna
don't
it
dey
comes
come.
to
hood.
movies,
Yeah, I'm getting there. Yeah.
the movie I feel did this cultural thing in a way that I find so disrespectful, but I have never heard anyone complain about it. It's actually Avatar. Those ones where
Now,
the people are blue, not the cartoon, the
We
movie,
Doctor
need
the
more
movie.
James Cameron
context to what
movie.
you're saying.
Isn't
Bro,
it in the Superman movie now?
those blue people in Avatar are clearly based on African and South Pacific kind of cultures. Like it's very clear
how?
from their style of
Educated.
dressing.
Can we all hear
I
him,
think
or is it
he's
me that
I
can't
think
hear?
he's getting a call.
I think it was frozen.
Hello?
Uti, is your TV on?
Can you guys hear me now?
Why are you asking if my
Yeah, we
TV
We
can.
is
can
on?
we can hear noise in your background.
Yes, it's
Can you guys hear
on.
me?
Yeah, sure, we can
Yeah,
hear
we
you.
can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. So for
Uti
me,
just
what I
show
find
us in
insulting
fine
about it
interior.
is what I find insulting about it is you are clearly making a movie that shows how white people enter other people's spaces and try to take over. Which, if you remember Avatar, the Uyibos came from Earth to their planet to come and mine their resources, which is literally every colonial story. Uyibo comes to your land to mine your resources. And I'm like, why didn't you guys just make these people black? Are you so
Be-
uncomfortable
They didn't want to be
for
culturally
Europeans to go
specific.
and watch the movie? And there's two things I find insulting about it.
But you
First
know, we're
of
not
all,
the
you should have
only
just
ones
made
they've
them.
done that to, right? You know,
You
we're
should
not the
have
only
made
ones
them.
they've done that to. They did it to the
Yeah,
Native
but no,
Americans. They've done it to
no,
different
but
races
no,
and
no, but
different tribes and
Australia.
different countries,
for me, there's
even
two things about
Australians.
it
So
here.
if they
For me,
make
there's
them
two
a
things about
specific
it.
color, no, if they make them a specific color, it will now be seen as cultural appropriation because there will now be this case of this, oh, we're not represented right, the story was not told right, oh, they are trying to do this. So they made them a neutral
Yeah,
color,
but
which is blue.
they've
Because
managed.
if they
First
made
of all,
them a
they've
certain
managed.
color, they would say, oh, brown skinned, yellow skinned,
No, 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 no. First of all,
white skinned.
they've
But blue,
managed
there's
to
nobody
make
they call
every
blue.
slavery movie with humans and not
The what?
colorize them. They've
The what?
managed to make every slavery movie with humans somehow. And number two, I find it offensive not just that they changed the color. That one I could have lived with. But for you to put animal features on the people, because those guys in Avatar have
Oh
tails.
my God. It's animation for crying out loud. They were trying to tell a
No,
story. Don't take it
if all of
literally.
us, no.
Oh,
If all of us
oh
are
my God. You are
animated,
being sensitive.
no,
No,
I'm
no, you
not
are being sensitive.
being
You are
no.
being very
No, I
sensitive.
promise you. I
I
promise you. Okay,
promise
okay,
you.
okay. Uchi, try this. Uchi, try this here. Try this here. Make a movie, yeah, where black people go to invade Europe, but don't call it Europe. Call it whatever you like. Black people go to invade somewhere, yeah, and there are people there, yeah, that are humanoid for the most part, but they have pig nose and a weary tail like a pig, and they have that pig color that is kind of Caucasian. Go and make that
Yeah,
movie
but
and
that's
go and
why I
place it
said,
somewhere.
see, but remember that's why I told you that they wanted to stay as neutral as possible. There's no race in the country that's considered blue. However, a social status is considered blue, the blue bloods. Do you understand what I mean? But there's no race.
Mm,
Like black, they'll call us black. A certain side of the world, we know that side. I don't want to offend anybody. They call them yellow skins. This pig skin
mm,
you're calling, we know the people they call pig skin. Other people they will say, "Oh, you're whitish, you're even purplish," different. But nobody has
mm,
ever been, no race has ever been considered blue. Now, the animalistic features, and this is how to have an open mind. The animalistic features were to obviously deter us from, okay, we are talking about a specific human, which we know that these creatures are human-like, which is why sometimes when they make a movie, they will say set in no place. Like this is a fictional country, a fictional city, a fictional. Wakanda is fictional, but we know it was Africa because they were very specific about the people that, about the citizens of Wakanda, which is black. They were showing us what the black nation could be if the whites had not loitered and colonized us, right? But this one, they did not want to be very specific. They wanted to be as ambiguous as possible. This is that type of shade that you can throw out. Like I divert a bit, but you throw out in. I can just tweet about something, and then everybody will now decide to personalize that tweet and say, "Are you talking about me?" Do you understand? Any other
Gender
person can go
neutral.
and say,
Gender
yes.
neutral.
Do you understand what I mean? Exactly. So no, I don't. I really think this is a case where people become extremely sensitive with this whole culture appropriation thing and all of that, which
mm.
goes back to the lady that asked about, I don't have a black, must I braid my hair? And um, you guys were saying, oh, she needs to go and learn about it. I'm like, please stop. Can you tell me the culture, the history of baggy jeans you are wearing? Can I tell you the history of this sweatshirt I'm wearing? Can you even tell me the history of the regular t-shirt you are wearing? So I feel like we get too sensitive about these things. It's okay to look at something, think it's pretty, wear it. If you don't know anything about it, it's okay to say, I don't know. I feel it look, I really love that. It looked pretty. Then it's on you. If you want to be an amebo or I too know, you can now say, let me school you on this thing that you are wearing. You can do that. However, I strongly disagree that Avatar is about a specific race. If anything, the people that should be ashamed and offended are the people who were portrayed as their own people, which is the white people. They should be offended. Like, this is how you're portraying us and you're causing people to still hate us. They were very direct with that. Say, Oyibo, they could have put, like, made the invaders black people to further, because let's not get it twisted. Black people were not kidnapped. They were sold by their own people. So they could have portrayed the black man as who he was, a snitch. Because we snitched by selling our own people, and we're still doing it till today. It takes two to tango. If the issue was that they used gun and say, if you don't release, if we're kidnapped, if we're stolen, if we're snatched, it's different. But they show them shiny little things. The black man was willing. When you think about that you were willing to sell your own flesh and blood, the same way people are kidnapping people, selling their kidneys, their livers, their organs for juju that doesn't know. Well, we all know it's not about juju anymore. That was what they were telling us to scare us. It's about organ trafficking. Do you understand? Like, the black man has been selling his own out, which is why they still call a lot of them Uncle Sam. Do you understand what I mean? So they could have made those humans black to show them black snitching on black people. But no, they still made
Yeah,
them
but no,
white.
no,
They
no,
made these people blue, and you are still complaining.
No, but
William,
It
I
wouldn't
beg.
have
William,
worked. It wouldn't have.
Uti, they give us Rema. No, just block that
No,
nonsense.
No, but
no.
that's not true
It would
now.
have
We have to stop
it would
this
not have
thing. We
worked. It
have
would
to.
not have
I
worked
feel
if
like
no.
everybody,
It would not
and
have worked
this
if
is
they
what is
make
happening
them
in
black
Nigeria, right? Somebody is
because
broke. Somebody is broke, right? The person goes to meet another person to say, help me. The person now says, okay, I get drug to push, or you go push. You now push, you get caught. Tomorrow you release a story and say, I was taken advantage of because I was broke. Your mates that are sweeping houses, that are working in restaurants, that are working in salons just to earn a living until their doorways open. They get 7 head. You make that
Mm-hmm.
decision. Black people
Mm-hmm.
need to take accountability for the fact that they sold their own people. Stop talking about, like, it's demand and supply. That is business. If there was no supply, the demand will fall to the ground, fruitless. The demand
Definitely
came,
now.
yes. Why did you give them supply? Why did you sell your own people? Let's not be victims in this situation. Like, it goes both ways. It goes both ways. Yes, the colonial masters are assholes for coming to colonize us and, take over our systems and divide us, take full accountability of that one, yes. But black people need to take accountability for slavery also. For slavery also. And that is why a lot of black people in diaspora still feel some kind of way towards black people from Africa. I'm not saying
Prejudice.
it's right. I'm
That's where
saying
the
we have to
prejudice comes in.
understand.
Uti,
Yes,
if
that's
if
where
An
it
if
African,
comes
if you've
in.
been
that's
listening,
where
And
the
yeah,
prejudice
we
if you've
comes
have
been
way
in.
of also
listening,
going there to show them that Unabi Mumu. Because they've suffered
Mm.
oppression from both sides, thinking that, oh, we were, yes, so it's okay to tell them to evolve and grow and heal their trauma. It's easier said than done. They are receiving trauma from both sides. It's like in your family, you hear that out of everybody, they selected you and your people to cast away for money. Then the people they've sent you to are also maltreating you and treating you like shit. So you feel like shit from both sides, and you expect some. And so the people that sold you expect what? What do you expect? What do you really expect from them? Do you understand? So we have to be a bit more understanding. So I don't want all these whole victim mindsets of,
This is
"Oh, the way they are portraying us. How did you portray
no,
us? How did we portray us? How did we portray us?"
time out.
William, I beg, Uti ba.
No wahala, no
You
wahala.
remember that place we go for mainland, ba?
Yes.
We dey go that place again when I come. For this thing
Yeah.
we talk about, I will give you one big oble.
It's true.
Uti,
So let's
you
calm
don't talk.
down, though. At least in
You've said it all. Because at the end of the day, I've always been saying that it takes two to do business. You know,
yeah.
it takes two to tango. And at the end of the day, man, like, we don't want to be talking about this part of slavery just because it doesn't make us feel good. You know, we are always talking about one part and one part and one part. We have to start just taking accountability. 100%. Uti without accountability. William, over to you.
Over
Well,
to you, my G.
Uti, if you've been listening from the beginning, I think me and you actually have pretty much the same philosophy. I don't buy
Yes.
a victim. I don't. To me, I don't do. I hate it. Even when it looks like it should be, even when it looks right, I still hate it. Because I tell people that look, you see me like this now. And my first novel ever was a book about slavery. That was I was 17 when I wrote it. Now, I will never write a book like that again. And I'll tell you why. It's okay. It don't do. I'm tired. It's not the reminder that I need. It's really not the, like I was watching this real, just random doom scrolling, and there was this guy. His son asked him, black guy. I'm sure you guys might have seen it. His son asked him, "When were you born, Dad?" And he was like, "I was born in 1985." And the boy's like, He's like a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, whatever. And he asks him, "Oh, so what was it like being a slave?" And obviously, everybody thought it was funny, 1985, obviously not even about 120 years off the timeline. But in my mind, I was like, how is it that you're barely 3 years old and this is already a cornerstone of your history when you think about it? like how do you know this early? And whether people like it or not, these things affect us in serious ways. See, when you see a Jew from Israel, yeah, there is a way they carry themselves with the feeling in their mind that we are God's chosen people. Whether you believe in God or not is irrelevant. If I believe that I am a chosen Baba Lana, in Igbo, we have a saying, they say, person where Papa send thief, they use one leg, break door open. Because based on confidence, even if you catch me, where are you going to take me? You will take me to my family now. They will say, I come back, it's okay, it's okay. So yeah, I definitely agree that this whole that's even why when people say cultural appropriation, that's why I say you guys need to chill. Because if you were doing your job, if you were on your job, nobody can even appropriate your thing. If you are on your you can't appropriate that Arab white and white. You can try, but it will not work. You cannot appropriate the Chinese, that they are Bruce Lee. You can try, but it will not work
It
because
will
these
not work.
guys are
You
on
always
their
look like a
job.
substandard version.
You will look like
But now,
version 3, version 4.
version, yeah, but you know what I said earlier in the chat that like in line with this, you can try. Authenticity is authenticity, and you cannot compare a 12 or 16-year-old to a 40-year-old. These cultures and their independence, they've exported their culture way longer and faster that Africa has had a chance. It's just now that before now, the idea of Africa, and I saw a video on Instagram where one guy was showing what he thought about Africa, showing like thatched houses and, bad roads and all of that, which we still do have. But, they didn't want to portray us in that developed light. So they would not show the urban areas, even the urban areas itself. Most of them are they not modern day slums. Let's call a spade a spade. But now things have started to improve. But it's almost like rubbing cream on your face, but not bathing your body. You get what I mean?
Rob
So
and
now,
shine. Yeah.
rub and shine. Exactly. But now, thanks to cultures like Dirty December, people have started to see, oh my God, Africa, Africa, Africa. Lagos became the it place for December between last year and especially this year. And all the celebrities started coming down. People like, oh my God, is that? And then, but for us in Nigeria, in Lagos, if they ask you what is Dirty December, you're probably going to be like, like it's our normal lifestyle
Traffic jam.
because it's this. But for us living in Nigeria, it's hell because now the roads are clogged, the restaurants everywhere they're clogged. Like we're trying to live our daily life. Lagos is a boisterous society. We go to the movies, we watch, but we're very redundant if we're going to be honest. We go to the movies, we go to the clubs, we go to the lounges, we go to the obscure restaurants, we go to the bukas, we go everywhere. But and then we have concerts. We have we never have as many festivals, whatever. So Dirty December is just basically having diaspora people come and do the things that we do on a normal day. Do you understand? And that has now shed a light on the urban side of Nigeria. So now, when it comes to the rural side, we're still not selling it. Because if they want to get an actual portrayal of Nigeria, they are going to portray us based on what they've experienced with Dirty December. Just like how Abitha is being portrayed now. If they are making a movie, and let's say even if it's an action movie, and Tom Cruise says, all right, the terrorist has relocated to Abitha, and we're like, all right, so we're going to Abitha. The next thing is you see people partying, champagne flying, and it will be about the fight within the party. And I can promise you that that is not what Abitha is all about. So if they now want to make a movie about Nigerian culture, guess what? It's going to be Dirty December. It's going to be about all the artists flying down. It's going to be about partying from sunset to sunrise. It's going to be about the eating of food, people making videos. Hello, come with me as I go to a local restaurant to try the local delicacy. This is a goosey. This is a burner. This is eber. That's what they're going to portray. They're not going to portray the real rural culture of Nigeria. So at the end of the day, we're still babies. It's baby steps. How old is Nigeria? Is Nigeria, are we up to 70 years?
Nah,
Are we up to 70?
60 something.
nah, we're
You
not.
see, and you're comparing us to countries that are how old? Well,
But you
it's
see,
a
this is part
step-by-step
of the
process.
problem. Why is our age or our birth from the day we gain independence? Why is that how far back our history goes?
Good
I think in my
question.
Because
that's
your
Good question,
independence gives
Martin.
you access. Your independence gives you access to, for lack of a better word, the media that you can use to popularize your culture.
No, even
Your independence. It's like
even
I
gives
said,
it.
you can't compare a 16-year-old to a 40-year-old. It's baby steps. And like, I don't know if it was Williams or who was saying it about documenting. I think it was Williams saying that he's doing his part in documenting. I mean, how were Africans documenting? Like, when it comes to progress and innovations, it was the Egyptians. And then all the, is it hieroglyphics they call them, where they write things on the walls and all of that. But guess what? Now see Oyibo with their technology, come, they study them, they tell us. It's not Africans that are telling us. It's the Oyibo, which is why even the original transcript, and I divert a bit, the original transcript of the Bible, Oyibo will transcribe it in any way and tell us that this is what Jesus said, this is what he
Yeah,
said, this is what he accepted.
just to
Do you
fit their
understand?
own,
Because
just to fit their own culture.
their own
Yeah,
culture and narratives and beliefs, and to manipulate and control people.
yeah,
So at the end of the
100%.
day, our age does matter, because unfortunately, but fortunately, in a way, right? This is where they say, unless you have a one-on-one conversation with God, you can ask him. And I hate to sound like this person, but it is true. There's some things you can't explain. Because tell me why. It's just like how when you have different children, if you had your power to share gifts in your children, you will share it according to their personalities. Because tell me why it is the Oyibo people that got access to this certain level of technology and innovation early. Why didn't we come up with a way to invent a camera to record things, to bring out sound? Why is it the Oyibo people that first got it? Meanwhile, the Egyptians were building pyramids, and when it comes to technology, the Egyptians were unmatched. Even some of them don't consider themselves Africans, or they consider themselves a high-grade version of Africans. But that's where we get to
Reverse,
the point where
reverse
until you
version.
have a one-on-one conversation, yes, until you have a conversation with God, you can't really answer this question, because why is it not us that invented this technology that we're
But
using to run the world?
something else. Something else I really have to point out here. I feel like definitely Europe slash America is responsible for the technology revolution, but I think
Yes,
a lot is not said about how
Asia,
other races picked it up and ran, as in they did not even look back and moved like mad with it.
Japan.
And the question is, why are we not moving like mad with it? I have some
You know
feelings
the answer
about
to that
this
question? Should I
personally.
tell you? Should I tell you the answer? The same
Right.
reason we sold our own brothers. Greed. Greed, greed, greed. Love and lust for shiny things. That's the same reason. Because the black man will first look out for himself and how he can enrich himself and oppress the next person to show that and you see it in modern day pop culture. Small thing, I can feed you and your family. You are a poor, poverty won't kill you. This one, I'm a
Mm.
big boy, bundle,
Who be you? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
spraying money
detest you now.
everywhere.
Yeah, but
Yes,
Uchi,
now. That's why we're not running
Uchi,
the
yeah,
thing.
but
imagine the
Uchi.
name where they call that generator. I better pass my neighbor,
My
bro.
neighbor.
That's deep.
Thank you to show that even if our
Yes,
own bad,
yes, but
at least my own not
but
bad
wait,
with your own.
No. I would also disagree with that, and I'll tell you why. I feel like we have these attitudes not because it's innate in us, but because it's the kind of environment we live in. And I'll give you a simple example. I remember when I first moved back from Jan. So hold on. I brought my friend back from Jan, and my guys were telling me, bro, if babe they can't see you, bad as it bad, you have to have transport money for how. And in my mind, I was like, what are you guys on about? Since when? Me, where I don't do 9 years for Jan, they enjoy Osho free on the regs. And it's after I lived there for a long while, and I realized, oh shit, babe that is coming to see me from Oxbridge in Wembley is going to spend £2.50 to come, £2.50 to go. That's £5. That's barely in an hour. She's made back that money. Babe come to see me from Ikeja that year when it was 8K. 8K go, 8K come is 16K. Even if that babe that year is making 200, that's almost 10% of her salary I'm asking for us to just come and see me. So obviously, she's going to tell me, bro, you send me transport money on. It's not unfair for me to think, this one is a good digger, where I know that, like, what is going to take from her to come and see me that once compared to if I was abroad where auntie will enter train or catch bus 182, pay £2, enter, you've landed, is nothing. So I feel like because we live in this extreme, it's almost like when you see Black American culture, because they also
Baba,
have
Baba,
that history in
Baba,
poverty.
I like
That's
where
why
you
the
they carry this
rappers, once you
story.
see
They
the
go,
rappers,
just fire on. That's
you
vape
know,
matter. Just they go that way.
that's why you see these rappers. Rappers will come and say they cannot wait once they blow. I fuck your bitch. I take your. It's very, but because Oyibo people largely already live in a state of like the gap in the wealth gap between them is not as much. It doesn't make as much sense for me to abuse you with poverty. Bro, a plumber in UK, you see him in the club drinking the same drink you're drinking. He's there at the bar saying, give me 2 more
And
shots,
who made
bro.
it like that here? You are saying that that's not how an oppressive mindset is not what we had. So before the white people invaded us, how did they decide who was supposed to be sold into slavery and who was supposed to be kept back? Is it not by feeling that they were
Okay.
better than the people they
No,
sold?
no,
It's the
no,
mindset
guys,
of the
guys.
people.
This slavery matter.
It's the
Honestly,
truth
there is
now. And what were
no,
they
no, no, no,
sold
no.
for?
There's a
Have
lot
you
of
found out?
nuance
Wait,
to it.
William, have you
No,
done
no,
your
there's a
research?
lot
Have
of
you found
nuance
out
to
what they
it.
sold our brothers for? Have you found out what our own people sold our brothers for?
For
Have
Wait,
you
me,
found
run
out?
first of
chocolate.
all, when we say this, wait. First of all, when we say this
So
selling
who
my
taught us? Who
brother's
taught
thing,
us? Who taught
no,
us?
no, no, it's not as
Look, it goes
exact.
back to
When people say
accountability.
this
The
selling, when people
average
say
black
this
man
selling
is
our brothers,
oppressive. Even
wait,
abroad,
no, no,
even
no,
abroad,
no,
the black
I will
Americans, they
never agree on
also
that
want to
one,
flex on the other
bro,
black
bro.
man. They
Yeah, yeah.
also
Wait,
want to
now.
do that.
I will not agree on this one. I'll tell you why. First of all, yeah, when it comes to this slavery matter that gets brought up a lot, yeah, a lot of the people that are kidnapped to be sold into slavery are actually spoils of war. So if I have a war now with your tribe, or me and
I'm
your
not talking
tribe
of
are
the people that they
fighting,
kidnapped. I'm not talking of people that kidnapped. I'm talking of people that were sold. The ones that were
yes, now,
sold
it's not
based
they
on
will
shiny
kidnap you and they
things
will sell
from the
you
leaders
now.
that selected that,
Huh?
oh, you can take these ones away.
Also,
Give us
yeah,
those shiny things like guns and whatever. I'm talking about those ones.
also, you have to
That's why I said
also
I'm not talking
you
about
have
the
to
people
also
that they
you also
kidnapped.
have to keep in mind that a lot of these guys, they were not even told that, oh, these guys are going to go here and we'll be flogging them and this one and that one.
My
It's
brother,
just
I
like
don't
now
care
when they
whether
tell
they told you
somebody
that you'll
come
be
to
flogging
Spain.
them or not.
When they
The
tell you come
fact
to
that they were
Spain,
exchanged,
I feel like
they
this
were
this road that we're
sold,
going down, this road that we're going down
is
is a
is a
lot of
rabbit
he
the
hole.
said,
different parts.
is a rabbit hole. Is he said, she
Is a
said,
rabbit hole.
right?
All I'm saying is that the black, there's something oppressive about the mindset of the average black man, not every black man, but from experience and from studies and from looking at the lifestyle of the average black person, listening to the way they speak, listening or observing how they handle their lifestyles, you can see that the average person is just very oppressive. And which is why I made a tweet. I posted a tweet one day and said, the average Nigerian doesn't hate oppression. They hate that they're on the wrong side of oppression. And that's why we see a lot of people that form freedom fighter, a lot of people that come and fight. How can they do this to us? How can they, once they just silence them with money? The same people that be talking about how will a man be moving with mopo, be moving with this, moving. You will see them. Now them go carry the
Okay.
full pass. Now them go
Next
say,
now,
move, move, move,
Uti,
move
I have
out
a
of my
question
way.
for you.
Just give them
Uti, I have
small
a question
power.
for you.
They just
Uti, I have
okay.
a question for
You
you.
know,
I have a question for you.
Uti, Uti, this is the way you talk. Make me remember the Django movie where Jimmy
Yes,
Fox, Jimmy Fox will sit on
exactly.
the, Jimmy Fox will come for horse. Samuel L. Jackson, the para for who be that guy? Why that guy go ride for horse?
Bruh, now
Then tomorrow they
Uti, I
will
have a
say
question for
it's
you.
because of the condition that they put them in. That is
It
why.
is
So
the
I keep
condition
asking,
though, and
Mm.
okay, what is
hold
the
up.
condition for the
Let
people
me
that
prove it to
selected
you.
their
Let
brother
me
to
prove
be
it to you.
sold?
Let me
That's the
prove it to you.
problem.
Yeah. Wait,
Is the
Uti. Let me
mindset.
prove it to you. Uti, let me prove it to you that it's the
William, sorry,
condition.
before you go
Yeah.
ahead, right? We have 10 minutes. I just want to close the loop on everything. So whatever you're
All
saying
right.
should contain
Close
your
caption.
conclusion.
All right.
So everybody
All
will
Yeah.
just
right.
have their conclusion and then we
All
wrap
right.
up.
Okay. Oh yeah. Now
So
William,
my
over to you.
argument about the conditions is supported by this, yeah. When expatriates, or if you prefer, immigrants, come here to work to Nigeria, yeah, I have watched these guys behave in every abusive, oppressive way Africans slash Nigerians behave because they are now in the environment. These guys will never dream of trying to bribe police in England or America, wherever they come from. But once they are here and police stop them, they're going to offer bribe. These guys, they know they see Okpo carry for that side. But once they are here, every 2 days they change Okpo. Every 2 days they change Okpo. When we go there, you will not hear that police stop one night. In fact, when Nigerians go abroad, we are overly law abiding. We'll even to jaywalk self will fear you, you know. So me,
Until
when I
you
look at
corrupt the
that,
system.
what to me, when I look at that, what that shows me is that humans are going to behave as stupidly as the surrounding allows us to behave. Whether we are black, white, Chinese, bro, Chinese guys that do building here, on God, I rather work for the most wicked black guy than to work for those guys. Those guys are on another wave when it comes to oppression. We can't even, bro, Oyibo's oppression, you can't even imagine it. Is on a different stratosphere. So while I do believe that, yes, so we like to form our better past my neighbor and blah, 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 I will largely say that a lot of it comes from a crab in a bucket effect kind of thing where we're just stuck and it's looking heavy. So we're just going to try and do the most. But from my experience, when we go abroad, whatever innate greed is in us seems to disappear. And when they come here, whatever innate law abidingness in them seems to disappear. So yeah, that's how I would couch it.
Okay. So my conclusion is this, right? Who makes up the society? The people. Who makes up the culture? The people, collective beliefs and collective lifestyles and all of that. And we can sit here and still blame influence, but it's like that thing they say about children that grow up in an abusive home with the father is an alcoholic and abusive towards the mother, and the mother is cantankerous and cool. There are two effects. There's the one that will now grow up and say, I won't, because I've tasted this bad energy, I will never absorb this, and will end up being the exact opposite of the toxicity that they experienced at home. Then you have the other one who is of a victim mindset and say, this is all I knew, this is all I absorbed. My father was an alcoholic and an abuser. My mother was cantankerous, hence I am. But I always tell them that you get to a particular age, you can't, it's not your fault. Your trauma is not your fault, but your healing is your responsibility, especially now that we have a lot of access to a lot of information. Now, this same abroad you are going to, yeah, even in this country, in this continent, there was a time I used to travel to other countries. I don't want to call their names, but within this continent, and they were law abiding and everything. You can't do anything with the police, even with the immigration officers at the airport. But we know how we're very lawless in this country. Let's call it spade, because all we worship, no, not people like me. Majority of them, all they worship here is money, 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 money. You know, and before you will go to those countries, immigration officer will never bail you. Police officer will stop you. Or police officer will stop you on the road. Never about money. Do their thing and go. But now, or rather a few years later, I went back to that same country. The Oyibos, if not Oyibo cops stop you, nothing. But if now the black cops stop you, they will ask you for money. So why didn't the Oyibo imbibe the lawlessness? that Nigerians have introduced to them. Because once you say, Nigeria, let me speak in the accent before you know what I'm talking about. Nigeria, you are a Nigerian. Okay, what do you have for us? What do you have for us? Oyibo police never asked, what do you have for us? But because Nigerians have carried that corrupted mindset to let them know that you can be taxed, make I give you small thing, may you allow us go. From the airport now, some immigration officers are now asking, what do you have for us? What do you have for us? That's the mentality. But you see the Oyibo law enforcement officers who in that same country, they're not asking you. I'm not saying that the Oyibos will not take bribe, but their own is on another level. Just like the same way the politicians there, you know, say that they chop, but they walk. But here they chop. You know, they see what thing they do most times. Do you understand? So I feel like this is where accountability comes into position, comes into play. Going back to that effect of growing up in an abusive household. Yes, people can come with whatever to try and influence you, but as an adult, you cannot sit there and keep blaming it on your trauma, on your past, on your this. Valid though, but it's time to heal. If everybody as a collective comes together to say, let us now start saying no to this, say no to that. But the truth of the matter is that a lot of our race people, they don't even want to be on the same level with everybody else. No, they want it to be that, let it be that it's me that made it out of the hood, but you are still there in the hood, so that you can sit on your high chair and start telling people about how, oh, this is happening, I made it out, they're all against me, they don't want me to prosper, but I'm here, gonna, is everywhere. So Black people need to learn one thing: empathy and love for your neighbor, for the next man. Have empathy, have love. To hell with that crab in the bucket mentality. We now know it's like before, when there was no access to information, we won't be able to say, oh, what is causing us? But we know the crab in the mentality, crab in the bucket mentality effect. We know about all these things. Why can't everybody just sit up and just say, wait, so now what do they do us? It's like how people are collectively waking up to the manipulation of religious leaders, which is making a lot of them backtrack. Do you know how many of them have come out to come and tell us now? Before those days, before tithe collection, they will guilt trip you. Put that part up on the screen. How do you rob the Lord in your tithes and offerings? I tell you today, those of you that are not paying tithe, you are robbing God, and your wealth will be eaten by the canker worm. You, in your baby Christian state, you go and give money and all of that. But now, especially with these Gen Z people, we're not a year word, we're not a Greek for anybody. They've come together to say, how? They've used common sense. You can't tell Gen Z nothing if it does not make sense
Yes,
to
you know,
them.
they hear what?
Yes, these men are now coming back one by one, apologizing. They are all apologizing because they know that people have started to wake up. Using this as a model, if we apply to other sectors of our lives, things will change. Don't come and tell us rubbish. Last election, people were shaking. Nigeria has never held people to accountability the way they held them. So it's baby steps. We are getting there because people are intentionally, collectively deciding to wake up. I just pray they can intentionally and collectively decide to wake up and fight against that oppressive mindset. Fight against that suppressive mindset to say, I am better than this next person. Let all of us, who cares if even if you have 10 million naira and next person has 10,000 naira, we will respect the same people on the same measure. Let's respect people because of their personality, not because of their possessions. That is the major problem with our race. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. Standing ovation.
Big conclusion.
Gerard.
Big conclusion.
Praise. What do you have for us?
Oh, Uti don't carry us going on level now. Now, me for face with this conclusion before Uti now. I will come sound like person.
It's a
I will
hard
come
act
sound
to
like person
follow.
when no book.
I swear, like
I'll
jokes
come
apart,
sound.
you know, when you see Uti's Instagram, they wear fancy clothes, they wear big trousers, all those kind of things. You think Uti is just, a
It doesn't
dumb
have
blonde.
sense. I did tell
You
But
you.
dey
on a
craze.
long form, now,
Very
we're like, okay, Uti
deep.
is a
No,
philosopher.
no, Uti is deep, man. When I saw Uti in Lagos, and then one of my friends were there. Like, he fell in love with Uti. I'm like, calm down, no. Now my guy, you won't come they do like this. Anyways, Uti, like seriously, but I want to, obviously digress a little bit. So when we say cultural appropriation, it also means that, look, man, if you are in overseas, represent your country, rep your country. Don't just divide and kill and just want to make Nigeria look shit. You know what I'm saying? Like a couple of weeks ago, we had, this politician in UK just saying a lot of crap about Nigeria. We all know that Nigeria is obviously not a good place. Nigeria is not in a good shape. There's corruption and blah, 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 blah. But you cannot just be using Nigeria to be doing your political campaign just because everybody knows that Nigeria is in this mess. Can we at least protect, lift up, encourage the country? And then we had a big artist, that went on an interview and said that no point going to Nigeria. Nigeria is not where you want to be at the moment. Can we not just put Nigeria in that place? We all see what Nigeria was. We all saw what Nigeria was offering to people that came to freaking Dirty December. We all saw the big artists not wanting to do shows in other part of the world, but they were all in Nigeria, investing in Nigeria, making all these things happen, making Nigeria look good. So if we all should do this, I think people will respect the culture. People will want to identify with the culture. People want to come and invest in the culture, not just saying, just because you do not support Tinubu, because you do not support Atiku, or because you do not support Peter Obi, whoever emerges as a president, that person is corrupt. That person does not have. No, can we support whoever that is there? Can we just support and hold accountability? Not just, okay, it's not in my backing, not my business. I'm Igbo, he's Yoruba. It doesn't concern me. If Tinubu is doing well, let's say Tinubu is doing well, no matter who you are, no matter where you are from. If he's not doing well, let's say he's not doing well, no matter who you are, no matter where you're from. When we do this, people that are coming to Nigeria will kind of respect the culture. But when we, the custodians, are not respecting the culture, how then will we want foreigners or strangers or whatever to respect that? So if I see a Nigerian in Australia, if I'm speaking a Nigerian language to you, can you not respond in an accent English and try to make me look like I don't know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like it all starts from there. You know what I mean? Like give your kids African names, for example. Do what you have to do, but just represent Africa. That's just the conclusion from me, man.
Well, thank you. Yeah, very spot on. Sometimes some of your guys will be talking and you'll be surprised that this is my guy. Well, no, maybe Mumu, he gets sense like this. So I'm very proud of all of you. And that's why I've been quietly sitting down learning from you guys. Like, see, my notepad don't full. So just to consolidate everything that we've said, right? Just to crystallize, because we started with cultural appropriation, and it's when conversations like this, which have a lot of juice, it's easy to segue and start to talk about different things, which we've done. And I allow it because that's where you get context. Because it's not easy to just stay on one topic. You need context for it to have meaning. But coming back to it, based on what everybody has said today, cultural appropriation, to the best of my understanding, is imitating a way of life of a particular group of people without giving them credit for it and without understanding the history behind that way of life. So our recommendation to people, foreigners who are looking on the outside inwards and they're enjoying this culture, ask questions, be open. And us, we need to present a comfortable space and environment for these people to ask us without judging their ignorance. They will be ignorant until
Very
they learn.
key.
Yes, and
Very
then once
key.
they
Very
learn,
key.
they will cascade that knowledge to their own people.
Yeah.
And that's how our culture can become mainstream and we can benefit from it. It's not that you need a white producer to carry Afrobeats and broadcast it around the world, because that's where the money is made and that's where they'll continue to make money from our sweat and our culture. Hence the hate towards cultural appropriation. So I personally think that imitation is a form of flattery. If you are copying my style, it's flattering to me, so I would encourage it. With this few see when I did not. Come on, me self, I guess.
that was spot on. That was
No,
spot
it's
on.
true. It's true. Imitation is a form of flattery. I mean, I'm just addendum. I just think we should relax on, being so fast to label everything cultural appropriation. Like, calm down. Let them imitate you. Imitate me. It's okay. Just give me some small goodie.
That's it. See how many people have had dreadlocks because of Uzi. But anyways, thank you guys, man. This has been beautiful. I love this convo. We will chop it up. We will dish it out. Please repost, share.
Yes,
Like
sir.
Praise will say, follow
Mm,
for more. Tune in. We're here every Thursday,
mm,
apparently now, and Friday
mm.
to give you knowledge.
God, they
If we
wonder whether
if we miss
I don't
if we miss
miscalculate. Say I
Thursday,
did talk,
if we miss Thursday,
my
we do
dear.
Friday.
And as I go give you one gist, why I'm even afraid that I've missed a day.
I will call you after this. Peace, people. Love.
No,
And
I
No
like
light.
worries, all good. All right, thank you
Bye.
so much, guys.
Peace, bro.